name is Stephen Williams, and I'm director of a department called NTU Global at Nottingham Trent University in the heart of England.
Biggest challenges Indian students face overseas and how do they overcome it?
Indian students are amongst our most impressive, our most innovative, our most resilient students.
How do you think that Indian universities or institutes can strengthen their global presence?
A number of Indian universities have already started to establish their own international branch campuses overseas.
What are some skill sets that you think that Indian students are having and that is advantageous compared to other students across the world?
India is the most intelligent nation in the world, and we have a number of successful alumni who are well known in Bollywood, but I think one name in particular your listeners will be very familiar with is Varun Dhawan.
Hi, I welcome you to the Crazy Careers podcast. Thank you so much for joining us in today.
No, it's a real pleasure to join you today. Thank you for inviting me.
So before we get into the actual conversation, would you mind letting us know a bit about yourself, your journey so far, and also the work that you do?
Absolutely, yep. So my name is Stephen Williams, and I'm director of a department called NTU Global at Nottingham Trent University in the heart of England in the UK. My department, NTU Global, manages the university's international partnerships. It looks after the global student experience on campus. So when our international students join us, we're there to support them and see them through the whole of their student life cycle. And we also look after our student and staff mobility and global summer schools. And for us, current absolute top priority is getting our UK students to choose India for their study abroad experience, whether that's for a semester or a year-long experience, or even a 4-week summer school in July. So we've been sending groups of students now to India since 2016, and they all come back completely transformed and great advocates for the UK-India relationship, which is important to us and helps with our integration of our Indian students who come here for their full degrees and our UK students. A little bit about my background. I have been to India more times than I've been to France. I've been going to India since 2004. I started in my first job in higher education working for the University of Warwick, doing student recruitment from India. After leaving Warwick to come to Nottingham Trent University in 2016, I've been director here now for 9 years of NTU Global. And as I said, I think I've been probably definitely at least 30 times to India in my career, to almost every corner of the country. And it's my favorite country in the world, which is why I'm happy to be doing this particular podcast.
Great. Glad to know that. So I'd like to know from you, how is the idea of studying abroad evolving, and especially among Indians?
So, I think we've seen quite a transformation in recent years. So I think students are no longer just going abroad to get an international degree and then sort of returning home. They're looking for a lot more return on investment than just that. And I think that's why we see so many Indian students choosing Nottingham Trent University, either for their undergraduate degree, their master's degree, or even their doctoral studies for their PhD, because they understand that Nottingham Trent University, or NTU, is one of the UK's most innovative and globally engaged universities. So we have many students here from India, but also from 159 different countries as well. So they have that real global exposure, ability to interact with people all over the world, form their networks. But also they understand that universities like NTU really have very strong focus on employability. So we're ranked number 1 in the UK for employability. Wow. And very strong industry connections. And we know how important those are for our Indian student community. They come here. Yes, they want academic excellence, which is guaranteed, but they also want those exposures to industry that we can provide them for, but in an international context. So I think that's a large part of what we see our international student community looking for these days is a real holistic experience that's going to give them a full return on investment. Otherwise, they may as well stay in India or the country they come from if they're not getting those additional benefits of studying abroad. So I think we've seen our Indian students in particular being very strategic in recent years about where they choose to study, what they choose to study, looking at where the labour market gaps are and what they'll get out of a UK degree and where that might place them, whether it be staying in the UK post-study to work here and gain some valuable years of work experience, or whether they return to India, or whether they try a third country and continue to internationalize their career. But I think those are the trends that we're seeing at the moment, a real absolute laser focus on employability and career opportunities after study.
Absolutely. So what do UK universities like NTU are look for when building strategic partnership with Indian institutes?
Well, again, I think that's a very good question and follows on very nicely from the previous question, because I think it's through our strong partnerships with Indian institutions that we're able to offer these opportunities, both to the Indian students who choose to come to NTU in the UK, but also to our UK students who choose to go to India for their study abroad, their summer programs, or even their sort of further master's studies. And it's these partnerships that we've been able to form that are deep, multi-layered partnerships with institutions that share the same values as us. So the things that NTU are known for in the UK, as well as our big focus on employability, is social mobility. So we've, through the personalization of learning that you will experience at NTU, plus the focus on employability and the work-like experiences that are part of every course, what we managed to do is transform students from the most disadvantaged backgrounds to achieve the same degree outcomes and the same graduate level jobs and salaries as the students we teach from the most advantaged backgrounds. We can reduce that gap. Again, that's something that's really important to us. And that's something we look to our partners for, that they have, again, that focus on widening access and a social mobility. And I guess another dimension for us that's really part of our values here is sustainability. So we want to make sure that future generations get to enjoy higher education around the world and enjoy this planet that we all share. And so for that reason, NTU has been ranked as the second most sustainable university in the world. And again, we look to our Indian partners to have that same commitment to sustainability. And then through those shared values, we can start to build what I called these multi-layered partnerships, where we'll be working together on research, we'll be working together on student and faculty mobility. Again, we think that's really important. That's a two-way process, because there is huge amounts that we have to learn from in the Indian higher education system and the Indian kind of research ecosystem. And we want our faculty and our students to experience that just as much as we want Indian faculty and students to come to our university, NTU, and experience that in the UK. So I think something that's multi-layered, based on shared values, is the best way to having a long-term sustainable partnership. We don't want partnerships that last 1 or 2 years, or that exist on paper and not in reality. We want something concrete that we can will have an impact on our students, our faculty, and also our communities. So that's what we look for in an Indian partner.
Absolutely. So looking at your experience and also close association with Indian students, so what are the biggest challenges Indian students face overseas, and how do they overcome them?
Yep. So I guess I've been working with Indian students now for 20 years. I would have to say that in my experience, as I said, we have 160 different nationalities on our campus here in Nottingham. In my experience, Indian students are amongst our most impressive, our most innovative, our most resilient students. They do not sit on the sidelines. And this is something I always have to say to our international students. They have this fantastic opportunity to come here for an undergraduate, a master's, a doctoral degree, and experience everything that NTU in the UK has to offer. So we ask them not to sit on the sidelines, and typically our Indian students don't. So we have something at NTU called our Global Lounges. These are social spaces where our international students get to meet our UK students. So there's that interaction between nationalities. So we can really work on our students, both international and UK students, intercultural communication skills in these spaces. Students develop their employability skills through their spaces. So they work on their teamwork. They work on kind of joint projects together. And what we've realized is this really develops a sense of belonging. And I guess that's the challenge many of our students face who don't engage fully with the university experience, and who do to some degree sit on the sidelines, is that They lack that sense of belonging. And of course, what we know then is that can have an impact on academic performance, and then on employability post graduation. So that's really what my office is set up to do, is to make sure that our international students are making the most of their time here in the UK. They're engaging with other international students. Equally importantly, they're engaging with our home students, and everyone is developing that sense of belonging and a real international global community on our campus.
Right. Now, shifting the questions from students to institutes. So, how do you think that Indian universities or institutes can strengthen their global presence and also can attract more international collaboration?
That's a very good question. I attended a fantastic event in Delhi back in September just for that purpose. It wasn't a meeting of universities, it was a meeting of business schools. So it was organised by the UK's Chartered Association of Business Schools, and they organised a 2-day dialogue between Indian business schools and UK business schools. And I was there with one of my academic colleagues from Nottingham Business School, which is a triple accredited business school here in the UK, so a top business school. And through the dialogue, we were able to exchange a lot of ideas around how Indian and UK business schools can work together to develop curriculum, to develop faculty development programs, to work on ability programs. And I think that the conclusion of everyone who was involved in that event, which, as well as the UK and Indian business schools, involved representatives from the Indian government and government-related organisations, as well as UK government-side organisations, was that this is absolutely a dialogue that needs to be repeated and happen regularly. And I think, in my view, that shouldn't just be limited to business schools. That should be extended more widely to universities. And I know that the British Council in India has just established a scheme particularly related to transnational education in between UK and Indian university partners. So those UK and Indian universities who are interested in working together on transnational education can come together through that network, and again can develop their international collaborations and partnerships. And I know that a number of Indian universities have already started to establish their own international branch campuses overseas, particularly in the Middle East. And so it's not just UK universities coming to India, it's Indian university coming to the whole of the world. So again, I think that's another route that Indian universities can take to internationalize their curriculum, their faculty, their students.
Right. So, what is the skills that an Indian student must develop to stay sustainable or stand out in the global education and also in the job market? You can answer this in perspective of Indian students or students in general.
I think it's a really good question. And I think I heard a number of people. So the obvious answer would be AI. And I think I've heard a lot of people recently say, "Oh yes, it's not that AI will replace our jobs; it's that people who can use AI will replace our jobs." And I think that's kind of partially true, but I think it's gone beyond that. I think what people recognise now, as most people these days use AI, if not every hour of the day, kind of most hours of the day, in all aspects of our lives. I think what people have realised is actually it's the soft skills. So things like critical thinking, kind of problem solving, communication skills that actually become more important than ever. So I think it's probably the person who's going to take your job is the person who, yes, they can use AI, but also has all of those soft skills that we just discussed that are so important. So I think in terms of Indian students wanting to stand out, yes, of course, everyone these days would be expected to have a good command of all the latest AI tools. But being able to demonstrate those incredibly important soft skills is what's going to actually set them apart and help them stand out in the job market. And that's from all our conversations with the thousands of employers that we engage with. That's what they're telling us.
Right. Soft skills, and recently I have read one study where it shows that language is also one of the important skills that every student should develop, because AI can be created by few, but can be used by many if you know the right prompt to how to use AI. So to give that right prompt, you should know the language prompt. So language is also one of the skills, and of course, it is one of the soft skills that
Yeah, absolutely agree.
So,
And I had that very discussion yesterday with the head of our Nottingham Institute of Languages and Intercultural Communication, who's a translation
Mhm.
specialist. And I guess that's and his point is that although now you could argue that AI will be replacing translators, it's still at the stage where it's relatively unreliable. So having sort of translators with the skill to be able to analyze AI translations and ensure their accuracy. That's an incredibly important thing for us at the moment as we move, as I say, more towards kind of AI for translation studies.
right. So can you share an example of a successful India-UK partnership that had impacted students directly or indirectly?
Yeah, so there's a really interesting funding scheme between the UK and India that's been running now for many years, as long as I can remember, called UKARI. I think it's kind of quite well known in both countries, kind of set up by the UK and Indian governments. I think it might go back as far as Tony Blair. So that's kind of how long we're going back. And I think many Indian and UK universities have taken advantage of this. I guess the example I'm going to give you is one from NTU because it's the one I'm most familiar with. So we worked together on a UK area funded project with one of our Indian partners, OP Jindal Global University, and we brought together a group of students from NTU, a group of students from OP Jindal Global University online. So this was kind of an online collaboration, but it was a race based around a genuine industry problem set for our students by Jindal Steel. So kind of there was a kind of particular problem that they wanted our students to work together with Indian students to solve. The students did that, came up with some great solutions, and then a number of the students then got the opportunity to go out from the UK to spend time in India with their Indian peers and to visit Jindal Steel and to get a real exposure to Indian industry and understand what it meant and how their solutions that had come up with through the online part of this program were helping to solve real world problems. So I guess that was for us one of the projects that we've seen between a UK and an Indian university that's had a real impact, not just on the students,
Right.
but say has really helped in terms of addressing an industry problem that had been identified in India.
Right. So, in what ways, like Indian universities can improve their campus experiences to support both domestic and international students together?
Another really good question. I'm going to use an NTU example. Of course, we have something here at NTU that's run by us. I've already mentioned called our global lounges. Again, these social spaces, and I think these are really helpful because they're places where, yes, they're open every day. The students can just come in, they can have a tea or a coffee and kind of relax, get to meet new people. But we run a large number of events through them. So one of the most popular events we run is our language cafes. And yes, it's great because it develops the students' language skills. They're peer-led, so it's a student on each table leading kind of the learning of a different language. And through that process, students improve their language skills, but also they get a chance to meet new people, to interact, kind of make friendships. And so that's something that we found works really well. I guess another technique we've used is we run a global summer school here at NTU. It's students can come from all over the world for 2 weeks or 4 weeks. It's particularly popular with our Indian partner universities. But we do use then NTU students as our global summer school buddies to make sure that the entire students coming on the program, as well as the great academic experience, have a great social experience and get to meet British students while they're here and get to explore and see the great student city that is Nottingham. So that's a kind of another technique that we use to make sure that our international and our domestic students are having that really meaningful interaction. And I guess one other thing that we found really works, and again, this is not rocket science, is sport. Sport is of course a common language.
Yeah.
So finding those opportunities through our sports societies to bring together our international students and our UK students in teams working together towards a common goal. We think we often find that some of the most long-lasting friendships are formed through those sports clubs where the students have kind of had that deep experience of teamwork and hopefully winning teamwork.
Right. One of the out of the box question is coming to my mind, and you are the right person to ask this question because you have been knowing Indian students for more than 2 decades, or near to 2 decades. Yeah. So I would like to know what are some skill set or thought process or mindset that you think that Indian students are having and that is advantages compared to other students across the world?
It's in, I'll refer back to the Chartered Association of Business Schools India UK Business School Dialogue that I attended, and the chair of the event was Lord Karan Bilamoria. So he's a kind of a member of our House of Lords. So he kind of originally from India, so was a great advocate of the UK-India relationship. He was the founder and chairman of Cobra Beer, if you've heard of Cobra Beer. So he's probably a very well qualified person. And he concluded the event by saying that India is the most intelligent nation in the world. And I think based on my experience, there is a lot of truth in that. So I think what we find with our Indian students here at NTU is they are many of them amongst the brightest and the best students we'll ever get to meet and to teach. So that's kind of, I guess that's an immediate starting point that is an advantage. And I guess then I would refer back to the fact that, again, I don't want to stereotype all of our Indian students, but they do tend to be more outgoing and more willing to take a risk and to engage with all of the opportunities that we present to them than some other national groups that I could mention who might stay more within their national group bubble. Our Indian students tend not to do that. They tend to want to meet UK students, make UK friends. That's why they've come to the UK, as well as students from all other parts of the world. And I guess that curiosity and I guess fearlessness are probably, again, two qualities that help them stand out and mean that they get possibly more out of their student experience than some other students do.
Right. Now, a very generalized question, because since we are a student-centric media platform and this session will be incomplete without this question. So I would like to know, according to you, what is that one challenge you see that young people are facing in their career journey and how do they navigate them?
Well, it's a particularly interesting and challenging question for students who choose to have an international education, because to some degree for many students, why would they be familiar with so Indian students coming to the UK, for example, why would they know every single in and out of how the UK job market works? So you're suddenly in an environment, if you want to stay on and work for a few years in the UK, to understand and experience that and be able to have something really valuable to put on your CV. Why would you know how to navigate kind of the whole application process, how that works, where to find opportunities, how to develop your network, how to make your connections. So I guess that's one thing we're very lucky here at NTU. We have the largest employability or careers service in the UK. We have over 120 people working our employability team just for that very purpose, to make sure that all of our students have it's a level playing field, that our international students and our UK students are all on the same level. They all understand how looking for a job, finding the right opportunities, how to present yourself, and that could be both in terms of your application, your CV, how to conduct yourself for an interview, but also for some of our students, there's also a kind of a financial barrier to this, and we have something fantastic at NTU called the professional wardrobe, which is the fact that our students have access to professional clothing that they can take from the university, and that helps them then to present themselves professionally when they do get to job interviews. And I felt it's a combination of all of this support that we can provide to our students that helps them, I think, and that levels the playing field and helps them to get those jobs that they want, and in case of our students, they definitely deserve.
Absolutely. Would you like to give a glimpse of the scholarships that NTU provides for Indian students?
Yeah, so we have a kind of a comprehensive scholarship scheme for again, our international students are all eligible to apply for. That could be for the students who come to us directly, if it's undergraduate through UCAS, or through our master's program. It's like most university, it's a competitive scholarship scheme, but we do have a good level of success from our Indian students because they are so entrepreneurial, so innovative, and kind of and so high quality. But we also have we have a fantastic scholarship celebration here at NTU for all those students once they arrive, which is kind of broadcast all around the world. So it's a great occasion. It means that the parents back home can be incredibly proud of seeing their their son or their daughter receive their scholarship and their certificate from the Vice Chancellor here at NTU when they're sitting in their living rooms back in Surat or in Bhubaneswar or wherever they might be in India. But also it's the same is true for students who come through our partnership arrangements. So we have sort of strong partnership arrangements with universities across the whole of India. Again, they are eligible to apply for our partner scholarship kind of arrangements. And again, we see a very high success rate on those scholarships because of the quality of the students that we're receiving through those. So they are merit based. It's not an automatic guarantee, but as I said, the quality of students that we receive from India means that the success rate is high.
Can you name any successful Indian alumni from NTU?
Definitely, we have we have a number of successful alumni who are well known in Bollywood, but I think one name in particular who hopefully your listeners will be very familiar with is Varun Dhawan, the Bollywood actor. I understand that he has had many top 10 box office hits in India and is kind of very well known. But we also have people like Priya Patel, who is a Bollywood stylist, who I understood does the wardrobe or did the wardrobe for Amitabh Bachchan. So we're well connected into Bollywood, and I hope to meet Varun Dhawan the next time I'm in Mumbai, because it would be good to say hello to such a successful NTU alumnus.
Right, it was really an insightful conversation. Thank you so much for joining us in today.
No, that's fantastic. It was really lovely to meet you, and really glad to have been part of this podcast. So thank you for the invite.